Hello, welcome to Tony's Bonsai. I've got a couple of Nothofagus southern beeches here. Got this kind of weird literati style and a sort of semi-cascade. So they both need some pruning doing, so we're going to start with this one. This type of tree, it's native to South America, I think Chile or Peru or something like that. It makes a really nice bonsai. I'm not sure the direction I'm going to take it in going forward, but it definitely needs some of these branches removing and just a bit of a tidy up. We've got some quite interesting roots sort of coming down this side from the tree, but we've also got these branches here that are, these have just grown in the last 12 months. Let me get the right pair of cutters for this, and these need to come off. They're just in the wrong position completely, this one especially. See if I can get in there. I mean, that's coming directly down from the trunk, so I'm glad to get rid of that. They needed to go. There's a bit of an ugly stump there though. I can't really seem to get into it because of the soil, but I can sort that out at a later date, maybe when I... Ah, there, that's got it. That's better. So that one, those two had to go. We've got a strange branch here growing from the inside of this bend. They'll definitely not be staying. And in fact, there's another. They seem to like putting shoots out in strange places, these trees. There, I'll just clean that whole section up there, that's much neater. And this one here, it kind of mirrors this, and I could potentially bring that upwards, but that's not the style I feel for this tree. I like the way it's kind of lurching over to one side, so I'll get rid of that. It's left a stub there, but I'll try and clean that up a bit more if I can. There we go. That worked quite well. This is one perhaps for the chisel. Just to get rid of that, because I like this clean line running underneath here, and I'll put some cut paste on that, and that'll be fine actually. But this is too long. I'll take that back, and I'll cut that back to this bud here, which is pointing towards the camera. Got some little branches in here. I don't want to develop any inverse taper there, so I'll just clean that section out. We've got some nice branches. It's a really nice tree actually, this Nothofagus. It's quite fine branching, and the only thing is, if you damage the bark, it can be quite prone to dieback. So you've got to be wary of that, and it's really not a tree to wire from my experience so far. It just doesn't respond well. We've got like a clump here, and I don't want this to go crazy thick, so I'm happy to remove that whole section there and just let that grow upwards. Got this long branch on the back. I want a bud to come towards me here, so we've got one coming sort of upwards there, so that's growing up and that'll be fine. This old stump here can just be nibbled back a bit, and there's a bud there that can be removed. So I'm happy with that now. I don't want that to push on. If we allow this to really grow, this will just grow big and thick and strong and become the main tree That is a possibility, but I quite like this sort of cascading element of the tree. So let's take a look more closely at what's going on down here. I've been kind of putting off any big decisions on this tree because I'm kind of unsure what direction to take it in. But I think at some point I do have to decide how is this cascade going to work. And I've got a branch here that's pointing directly up and it just doesn't seem to fit in the flow of the tree, so that can go. When I worked this last year, I had just bought it from, as I say, from a local bonsai garden centre. He sells just cheap, sort of a lot of beginner material, and this didn't come with any guarantees. He said, I've only just dug it up, so you know it could die. So I was very hesitant about doing much work to it last year. I've got a strange branch growing inside here. That can go. And I'm not entirely sure how to sort of take the design of it. I've obviously allowed this to grow last year, but I do prefer this coming in this direction. I'm going to try to take some hardwood cuttings off this tree, so I will be keeping these cuttings, and I think this one has to go. Big chop coming up. Yeah. So I'm going to try rooting that. You never know, they might work. When I view it from this angle, it looks far more interesting, definitely. Although it is cascading, I kind of like the depth to it. But there are a couple of odd branches. For example, that one needed to go. It does sort of clump up, and the branches all kind of seem to sort of emerge from one point, so you have to keep control of it so that you don't get these bulges of growth. So I like that, that looks good. Now up here again we've got the same thing going on. We've got a branch coming vertically down. Get rid of that. They do grow in all kinds of crazy angles, these branches. Well, that gives us a lot of options for bonsai. This one's a bit long. That can come back. That one there, maybe. I'm not sure. What do you think? It does seem to have a nature of almost growing back on itself, and it certainly sort of zigzags around. And so I think you have to kind of embrace that. There's one coming vertically down there. That's got to go. Just a really interesting tree, I think. And that's why I splashed out on it. I think I paid £12 for this. Yeah, that's nice. It's looking good. I think it's got some quite good drama from the side there. Just remove some of these awkward buds. It's full of buds, they're everywhere, so choosing where you want branches is quite easy with this tree. Remove that little stub there. And that's it, that's all I want to do. Before I start work on this, I've just remembered there's another Nothofagus that I need to work on. It's the twin trunk one. I just forgot it was hiding and I forgot I had it, so I'm going to go and get that and prune that after this. So a little bonus tree, if you will. My first decision is what to do here, where we've got two branches coming out from the same point. I can only keep one of these branches. It's not the hardest, or is it the hardest? Is it a tricky decision? Well, my instinct was to remove this because this is quite an important branch. But is it? It seems to be at first. But then when you really think about it, maybe this could be the new leader. Yes. Maybe I could bring the whole tree back on itself here instead of that top section. And what I could do is, I can remove all this top section here, and maybe I could air layer this top piece and produce a lovely little squat tree with an amazing trunk. I think that's what I'm going to do, you know. I've just had that thought now. Do you know what I think I'm going to try? I'm going to try what he calls the Peter Chan bag trick. So, if I put a bag over this, like that. Whoa, nice sound for you, that, I bet. Right. There. That will be the tree. So it'll really come back on itself. There. I could even bring this sort of back down in that direction. I mean, what an interesting tree that becomes then. I'm definitely doing it. Definitely doing it. Yeah. I'll have to get a bag that's not as crunchy. That was awful. So yeah, maybe I'll just use my hand in future. So instead of the Peter Chan trick, I'll use the Tony hand trick. There we go. How nice will that be? And then this will be a lovely little tree. I want to keep this. So instead of I'm definitely not cutting this off now. I'm going to try and do an air layer of this in the spring. So with that in mind, I don't actually want to remove anything. I want to leave all this to grow healthily, obviously. I want to leave this branch here. And the only thing I will remove is this branch at the back, because that won't be part of the design, definitely not. So this one can go. It won't be part of the air layer, and it won't be part of the final design either, so I can get rid of that. That was just potentially going to add inverse taper. There we go, that's nice. And there's my tree. Lovely. I'm really happy with that, that new design, and it's finally got a sort of plan to it. And because it leans over this way so much, the whole top of the canopy coming back against it, I kind of like that. I think it'll look really interesting. So a project for the spring there. Here we've got the twin trunk tree. Actually, it's grown fairly well. If I step to the side, you can see it's had a really strong year. It's put lots and lots of growth on. And yeah, it's looking quite good. I need to remove these wires though. I added these just as support because it was quite loose in the pot. And this is a good way of giving it some extra strength to deal with the wind. But these are not needed now. It had a really good, strong growing year. And it's put plenty of roots on, I'm sure, down there. So that's fine. They're all gone. Right, so I was considering the idea of cutting this into 2 trees. But the feedback was really quite strong that I should definitely leave it as a sort of a weird twin trunked planting. And ultimately they're my trees and I make the decision, but I definitely listen to all the feedback that I get from all my viewers. And if there's a complete unanimous call that this should be left as it is, then there's no way that I'm going to go against that. And so it stays as it is. I think first of all, I'll deal with this small tree. It's got some quite nice character, this tree. I cut the big stump off up here last year, and now's the time to take that off. This is the stump I'm talking about there, and that's off, nice and clean. Nice clean lines, and that allows this to become the new leader. Lovely. I've got the kind of usual well, I wouldn't call them problems, but the usual issues with the Nothofagus, which is you get the little clumps of branches all coming from the same point. This is a good example. So I've got 2 branches coming from there. I can only keep 1. I like this one coming back. It adds movement. So the top one can go. And they do like putting branches going downwards, these Nothofagus. You know, vertically down, which is a bit unusual. And we generally try to avoid that in bonsai, but it can add for some interesting effects. Up at the top here, we've got another stub that needs to be removed. So if I take that off first, we've got this downward pointing branch, and I don't really like it, if I'm honest. So let's take the end off that branch and allow this to become the new apex of the tree. And this little stub in here can be removed. There. I kind of like that. I think that's coming along quite nicely. Just a little downward pointer there that can go. First thing is this strange little stub in there that can go. Happy to get rid of that one. This has got a little stub as well, and then it's got three branches coming from this one point, which I don't like. Definitely the centre one can go. Can I leave that? I think this is going to swell there. That's the only problem. If I leave both of those, I do like this one in this position, but if I leave it at that particular point where I've cut that branch, I'm going to get a thick swelling at there, which I don't really like. And I've got enough branches, you know, the plant's wide enough as it is. I don't think I necessarily need to take this one any wider. So perhaps the best solution to this is to get rid of that there. And then hopefully this branch is healthy, and that can always send out these shoots that come out to the side, so that's fine. It's quite a complicated tree to work on. I like it. I like the challenge of it. A little stub down there. It's certainly got some character to it, this tree. That's what I really like about it. And we've got these 2 branches. This one sort of comes forward and gives me depth, which I like. That one is out there. I don't think I can keep both. One of them has to go. It's tricky, that. These are the tricky sort of decisions. I mean, I like this one. I do like that branch. And perhaps if I could pull that round there, then I would have no need for this branch here. but then this one's coming straight at me. And this is going to be the front, I'm pretty sure about that, rather than the other side. This one just feels more front-like with this kind of coming towards me. In fact, this is probably about the front position there. So I've got to keep that branch. I've got to keep the one going to the side. And remove that one. I'll keep that and try and do a hardwood cutting with it. These are very weak, these little buds and little bits of branches inside there. So as we go up this branch, we've got one of these sort of clumps with lots going on. I think this might end up getting taken back at some point anyway. But for the time being, this is too long going out there. No, I don't like that stump there either. There we go. And that can... I might add a piece of wire to take that out there. In fact, I'm going to add a piece of wire to that, definitely. That can just go out there with a bit of wire. And that fills that void that's left by the branch, this section that I just removed. So that works quite well there like that. I'm happy with that. As we come round here, this is lovely the way this snakes. And this little bit in here can be cut off because that was just spoiling the line, I think. And then up here we've got that top bit there that we definitely don't need. Definitely don't need that bit. And then which of these do I like? Is it this one? Coming back in. This one's coming too much at me, so it's definitely not going to be that one. And I've got this branch at the back there. I mean, that could possibly be, oh, could that be the new leader? I think it could, you know. Viewed from a bit higher up, we've got a branch here that can be cut off. That works quite well. In fact, we've got a little bud in there that'll make a better new branch and add some taper to things. I think I tried to do the same there, did I? And cut that stub down. I'm not sure about that stub though now, when I look at it. It does look a bit ugly. Looks a bit ugly to me, that. I think I'd rather get rid of it. And there's a little bud next to it there that can come out. This one's better because it's thinner. And so there's no need for that. There was no need for that thicker stump down there. We're looking along the length of the pot here. So this is from the side. And it's a good way to view this here. I mean, if I just turn it to the side there slightly, we get a better view. And then we can see what's going to happen up at the top here. Yeah, it's not easy to decide this. I do think the top needs to come back down. It's just whether I make perhaps that the top there and have this thin one coming forward, because this is the front of the composition. That could look good. I've made my decision. We're kind of looking from the front of the tree now, and I want to take the top off to create a taper at the top. And this one coming up here will make a nice new apex to the tree, and we're getting good taper up there at the top then. So I'm happy with that. There's been a fair bit removed there. I have just noticed though, these two branches here, they basically come from the same point, and I can't have both of them. Only one can stay. This one comes down in quite a nice, pleasing angle, but this top one's got better movement. Kind of comes up then down. So I will take that top one, remove that bottom one, and then because I don't want this top one to get too thick, I will prune that back. Likewise with this one coming forward, I don't want this to thicken up too much. That can be cut. I want this to be the new apex, so I'll leave that one and just, even this back one to be honest, I'll leave that as well because I want this to pull as much sap up, try to help with healing and the health of the plant. I think that's enough. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching me work on these southern beech. They're one of my favourite varieties of trees. They seem really good for bonsai, and I might ask the guy who's got the nursery that I bought this material from if I can go and do a video and show you some of his trees. He's got an absolutely amazing, probably his best tree, Nothofagus. I think it's 25 years old, grown from seed, but it's huge, it's very mature, it's got lovely pads, and he's done it completely with clip and grow. So that'd be an interesting thing to show you. So I might hopefully bring you that in the spring, but we'll have to see what he says. He's pretty old. And apart from that, obviously I'll be keeping you up to date with how these get on in the spring and the summer. But as always, thanks for joining me. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.